Commanders will travel to Arlington here in Week 18 for the season finale of the Commanders' regular season as they take on the Dallas Cowboys here in Week 18. Welcome into the show, guys. We got this week's Commanders preview here on the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry. I got keys to victory. I've got team trends. I've got my official score prediction for this football game at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But before we get into the content today, if you want to beat the Cowgirls this week and you want to avoid a season sweep, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now if you hate the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, let's get into this matchup here because Washington is going to be heading into Dallas, and they're going to be trying to lock up their 12th win of the 2024 regular season. They've already locked up their spot in the postseason, so that's all good. But this is something that I think has a lot to do with pride with the Washington Commanders and how they do not want to go down and lose twice to Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. So this is going to be one where Dan Quinn is playing his starters because if the Commanders win, they get the 6th seed locked up. And that is important for this football game, guys. It really does, because if you lose and you get to the 7th seed here, you have to play the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. And that's not nearly as nice of a matchup as the Los Angeles Rams, who have no fans. And you can pretty much have a pseudo home game against them at SoFi Stadium. The way that you move down to number 7 is if you lose to the Cowboys this week and the Packers beat the Chicago Bears, which I think with the Bears, with the way that team's playing right now, that seems more than likely. So it does seem like the Commanders need to win this week to lock up that number 6 spot. And like I said, guys, Coach Quinn did tell the media earlier this week that the starters will play versus the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're expecting to see Marcus Mariota or some of the other players here, just know that those guys will not be playing. It'll be Janie Daniels, Frankie Louvu, Terry McLaurin. All those guys are going to be playing this week at least until the game gets out of hand. Now you take a look here at the Commanders' injuries heading into the week. Marshawn Lattimore is questionable again with a hamstring injury. Was seen running at practice early in the week. But I would say he's probably doubtful with that hamstring injury. I think they're going to want to try to keep him fresh for the postseason. Tyler Biadasz had an ankle injury last week. He's going to be questionable. I actually thought Michael Dieter did a decent job at center in relief of him against the Falcons, but we'll see how he does this week if he's called upon. Then you got Andrew Wiley and Cornelius Lucas, your top 2 right tackles, questionable to go, each with a groin injury, so hopefully one of those guys will eventually be good to go. And then De'Ami Brown still dealing with a hamstring injury. He is also questionable. Then 2 guys that are eligible to come off IR this week. Austin Eckler still dealing with that concussion. Dan Quinn did mention last week that he could come back this week, so watch out for his practice window to open at some point this week. Then Austin Seibert, the kicker, has been dealing with a groin issue. Could potentially come back this week as well. So we'll keep you guys posted on those guys throughout the week. But then the Cowboys IR, man, lots of big names out for this football game, out for the rest of the season. Dak Prescott's been out for a while with that hamstring injury. CeeDee Lamb was just put on IR with a shoulder. I believe it was last week. Then DeMarcus Lawrence, the edge rusher, still on IR with a foot. Could technically come back this week, but I don't think they're going to take him off. They got Trayvon Diggs, the corner. He had a big knee injury. DeMarvion Overshown. I was actually at that game, by the way, at AT&T Stadium when he completely shredded his knee. It was not looking good. Hopefully that he can play next year. And then Zach Martin, the guard, is dealing with an ankle injury. He's on IR. He will not play. So the results so far for the Dallas Cowboys this season, obviously not fantastic, not a lot of high-quality wins. The Steelers one was a nice one on Sunday Night Football in Week 5, kind of a last-second win. But other than that, man, they really haven't collected many high-quality wins. And honestly, maybe their second-best win this year was against the Commanders back in Week 12 when they were able to beat Washington 34-26. And, we did see here that I think that, what we're looking at here is a Dallas Cowboys team that just isn't very good. I think we all understand that at this point in the season. But the Commanders did not beat this team back in Week 12, so that's something that this team's going to have to get going here. You take a look at the results from that football game. 34-26 was the final score. Jaden didn't have his best day, 25 of 38 for 275 yards. He's had worse days. He had a really good fourth quarter, put this team in a position where they were just an extra point away from tying it with just seconds left to go. So we'll see if that, what the Commanders can do this week. But I think the big thing is going to be taking advantage of opportunities that the Commanders failed to take advantage of back there in Week 12. So the key offensive pieces for the Dallas Cowboys heading into this one: Cooper Rush, Rico Dowdle. They just got rid of Ezekiel Elliott actually this week. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and Kevontae Turpin will be their trio of receivers, and then Jake Ferguson is a decent receiving tight end that they have playing for him as well. But you look at the team trends this year, guys, for the Cowboys offense, it is not looking good, obviously. And for as average as the Commanders defense has been this year, they actually have the advantage in most of these categories here. And I do think that the Commanders will probably have the advantage in this matchup. That is if the Commanders defense comes to play and Michael Davis doesn't completely shit the bed like he did last week. Then we get to the points per game trends here. We got the 20.7 points per game for the Cowboys offense this year versus the Commanders giving up 23.3. Cross-reference that. That's going to tell you about 21 points for the Dallas Cowboys. In this football game, it's anywhere between 21 and 23 points if you believe the trends. Then we get to the key defensive players. Micah Parsons, by far the best player that's going to be on the field for their defense, but Deron Bland has had another good season for them. Jordan Lewis, their slot corner, very, very crafty there in the slot, and then Osei Odigizua, their defensive tackle, is also a pretty good player as well. But like on the offensive side of the ball, the Cowboys' defensive trends are not very good. The one thing they actually do pretty well is they get teams off the field on third down, but this Commanders offense, man, top 10 in every single major offensive category, top 5 scoring offense. I'm not worried whatsoever about this matchup. As long as Jaden Daniels and this offensive line come to play, I think that the Commanders offense is going to put up quite a few points in this football game. So the points per game trends here, Commanders are scoring almost 29 points per game. The Cowboys are giving up nearly 28. So you can expect the Commanders, based on the trends, to score about 28 points on Sunday afternoon. So that if you've been keeping track here, that would mean a 28-21 win based on the trends for the Washington Commanders. That is well outside of the margin of error, which is 3 points. So you're looking, going into this matchup, definitely looking at a Commanders victory, but it's a divisional matchup here, guys. So you never know what's going to happen. So still to come here on the Commanders Report preview for the season finale here in Week 18. Keys to victory versus the Dallas Cowboys here in Week 18. Also, we got my Cooper Rush scouting report, going to tell you the best way to limit Cooper Rush's impact in this football game. And then also I got my Week 18 score prediction coming up at the end of the show. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you stick around. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone this football season. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more than or less than on at least 2 player stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And when my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly, and you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. You guys can see an example of a PrizePicks projection right here. You just pick 2 or more player stat projections here. I'm going to take the more on Tyler Lockett receiving yards at 22.5, and I'm going to take the less on projected rushing yards for Josh Jacobs at 73.5. If you made this projection on PrizePicks and you got it right, you can make some money. That is if you know ball. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. When you use code CLNS, again, guys, that's at the bottom right of the screen, CLNS for the promo code. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup and use promo code CLNS when you download the PrizePicks app today. PrizePicks, run your game. First key to victory for the Washington Commanders this week is to make Cooper Rush think. Now, the way that Cooper wants to play football is he wants to get the ball out quick. He wants to be able to read what you're doing pre-snap, and he likes to, not have to make big plays out of structure or, be a big playmaker. He just wants to be a distributor. So back in Week 12, he was 24 of 32, so pretty efficient for 247 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Honestly, I don't want to see this Commanders defense give up that much production against this guy. I don't think he's a top 32 quarterback in the league. He's a solid backup, in a pinch. He's very solid. His mental processing's fine. His accuracy's pretty good. Footwork is pretty clean as well. Everything within structure. But then where everything breaks down is that when he has to go to his third and fourth read, when he has to go off his read in structure and have to make plays out of structure, that's where everything breaks down for Cooper Rush, because he doesn't have the athleticism, he doesn't have the arm talent to really be that big-time playmaker, and he definitely doesn't have the rushing ability. So that's how you beat Cooper Rush, guys. You really don't give him any easy answers pre-snap. You want to mix up your looks. You want to make sure that he's thinking and that he's not feeling comfortable about pulling that trigger early in the down and right at the top of his drop back. You want to make him think. You want to make him Make a couple hitches, maybe try to make a couple plays out of structure, because when that happens, defenses usually dominate the Cowboys offense. So the second key to victory versus the Dallas Cowboys is to contain Micah Parsons. Now, I know what you're thinking. All right, it's a lot easier said than done to contain this guy, because he really does, he really does earn your attention when he's on the field, because he's moving all over the place and he is a dominant force. You got to put two guys on him at all times. You're going to have a plan when they put him in the AA mug look that Mike Zimmer is famous for. They put him in there a lot. And, if you can shut down Micah Parsons, you shut down Dallas's defense, because, this is their most impactful player. And if you can take him away, which is not easy, all right, I'm going to acknowledge that right now. It's not easy to take away Micah Parsons, and it's much easier said than done taking this guy away. But if you can do it, or at least if you can contain him, you can certainly move the football at an effective rate, and you can put up a lot of points on this Cowboys defense. So before we get to the rest of my keys to victory on this week's preview, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got daily Commanders videos letting you guys know all the latest injury updates, all the latest trade rumors, all that great stuff. Also, during the offseason, we've got trade, free agency, and draft rumors just about every day. Of course, breaking news action every time Adam Peters makes a big move. And then also we got weekly live shows, and it's all 100% free. So we got over 24,000 Commanders fans that have already subscribed to the channel. We've added about 17,000 Commanders fans to our channel over the last 365 days. So thank you guys so much for all of your support. We're now the fastest growing Commanders channel anywhere on YouTube. So I want to thank you guys for your support. And if you want to click that subscribe button right now, you can join our family. Third key to victory this week, take advantage of opportunities, because this is what the Commanders failed to do back in Week 12, and it's what absolutely killed them. Let's take a look at the crucial mistakes that this team made, in especially the first half against the Dallas Cowboys, all right? You had 4 short fields in the first half alone. Only scored 3 total points on those short fields. That is unacceptable. That puts you behind the 8 ball, and that forced you to try to come back late, and of course that failed. Then Noah Igbenogany, he recovered an interception and then fumbled on the same exact play, giving the ball back to Dallas. That can't happen either. All right, then John Bates had a huge fumble on the Commander's side of the field, giving Dallas a short field, giving them an opportunity to score. That can't happen. Also, 2 special teams touchdowns given up in the second half. Are you freaking kidding me? That needs to be cleaned up as well. You can't let Kevontae Turpin run loose, because that little man can run. And then the final thing, 1 missed field goal and then 2 missed extra points. That was the difference in the game last time, guys. So the special teams mistakes were a killer. The turnovers were a killer, and missing out on opportunities were definitely a killer in Week 12. And, there's a lot of stuff that went wrong. So that's why I'm a little bit more optimistic this time around. And the final key to victory for the Commanders this week is to stay healthy. All right, plain and simply, you're going to be in the postseason. So if you have an injury to Jaden Daniels, if you have an injury to Frankie Louvu, if you have an injury to Scary Terry McLaurin, it will be devastating. All right, so if you're going to be playing your starters here, you got to make sure that maybe you're not running Jaden Daniels too much, all right? He can run a little bit, but I wouldn't want him running 20 times in this football game, okay? You've got to make sure these guys are as healthy as possible for the postseason. Yes, getting that 6th seed is important, but what's more important is that you have your top players healthy and ready to go for Wild Card Weekend, and that needs to take precedent in the Commanders' game plan this week. So my prediction here, I'm going to say it's going to be 31-24 Commanders win. Still don't trust the Commanders' secondary. I think they are going to give some pretty easy looks to Cooper Rush, so I think that Cowboys offense will have actually a pretty decent day, but Jaden Daniels is on an absolute heater right now. I think that they get over 30 points once again, and I think the Commanders finish out their season with a 31-24 win, avoid the sweep, and lock themselves in to the number 6 seed in the NFC playoffs this year. So now it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Predict the score of Commanders versus Cowboys. I got 31-24. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Can't wait to see your score predictions. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. That'll be it for this week's Commanders Report preview. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, go raise some hail.